Good afternoon. My name is Lee from SilverLiningAnalysis, and today I want to talk about the GDX and the GDXJ. It's two ETFs that people often refer to when they are talking about investments in the gold and silver mining sector. Today I'm going to give you an overview of these two ETFs and what their similarities and what their differences are. So let's just jump straight into it. In this screen I can show you that really good. So in a recent video, I talked about all the assets in the GDX and we walked through the assets and what's in there. And we looked at the valuation of all these companies and especially the valuation of their market cap compared to the amount of ounces of gold and silver that they had in the ground. And we made sort of a valuation of all of these companies. And we saw that the GDX was pretty cheap in general. So I started to think, is the GDXJ actually cheaper? So what I've done, I've made a list of all the companies in the GDXJ. So the first thing that I really want to show you and highlight you about the GDXJ in comparison to the GDX is that there is a big overlap between the companies in the GDX and in the GDXJ. In this column, I have stated whether the company is in the GDX and in the GDXJ. So this, for instance, Pan American Silver, right, is in the GDXJ because these are all the companies that are in the GDXJ. So that is the junior mining index, but this company is also in the GDX. So it's both in the major miner index and in the minor miner index, or in the junior miner index. And as you can see, if we scroll through these lists, there are a lot of companies that are both in the GDX and in the GDXJ. So I'm just going to scroll through all of them, right? You can see that when the company sizes start to get smaller, they are no longer in the GDX. That is the main difference. But in this column, right, I've noted how much percentage of the portfolio each of these stocks is, right? So for instance, Luca Mining Corp is only 0.09% of the portfolio of GDXJ, right? If we then look at all these individual companies that are in the GDX, right, and we count up all the percentages of the companies that are both in the GDXJ and in the GDX, right, we can see down here that there is a total overlap of 78%. So that means that if you buy the GDXJ, which is the gold junior miner index, you are buying about 78% of the GDX, which is supposed to be the major gold miner index. So the main difference between the GDX and the GDXJ is supposed to be that if you buy the GDX, you want exposure to the best of the best, and you want that exposure to the biggest and best gold mines in the world. If you buy the GDXJ, you are expecting a little bit more leverage on the price of gold. You are expecting smaller miners because you are buying a junior miner index. A lot of companies within the GDXJ are not actual miners itself, right? You have a big portion, about 78%, as you can see here, of major mines, and you have a small portion that is the rest of the portfolio, which is only about 22% of the portfolio, that is comprised of smaller mining companies with a lot more operational leverage, but with a lot more risk as well. So the GDXJ still has a bit of safety, right? It still has a lot of the bigger names that you will see in the GDX as well, but it also has a big component of smaller mines that are either not yet in production, that are still doing exploration work, or that are just building up to production. So there is a little bit more risk within the GDX. Now let me get my OBS back so I can see what you guys are seeing. And if we then look in this tab, this is the same setup that I've used to evaluate the GDX. So what I'm doing here is I'm taking the current market cap of the company, right? I'm taking the amount of gold and silver equivalent ounces that the company has. And then I'm calculating, right, if I bought this whole company right now, how much would I pay for an ounce of gold or silver in the ground, right? So Pan American Silver Corp has about 53 million gold equivalent ounces. So that means that I'm going to take all of the resource that this company has, and I'm going to state it as if all of these ounces were gold, right? Then you would get 53.5 million ounces of gold equivalent. You're buying that for $22.6 billion. So that essentially means that you're buying an ounce of gold in the ground for $442, or about 8% of the current gold price. Where that valuation is supposed to be, that is up to you. You have to make a decision whether or not the companies individually are cheap. But I've made that calculation for each of the companies in the GDXJ. And so if we scroll through this image, you can see that there are a lot of spaces that are blank as well. That is just because they're either not producers or they're companies which I couldn't find the resources of. And if we then go down all the way, you can see that the numbers really start to drop off as we get to the smaller market cap companies, right? These are also the companies that are not in the GDX, so there is no overlap there. So that means that the companies are by default smaller and potentially more risky. But you can also see that these companies are also cheaper compared to the price of gold, right? Their market cap is cheaper compared to their resources than the bigger producing assets. But if we take an average of all of these percentages, right, so an average valuation of all of these companies in the GDXJ, we can see that the average price of an ounce of gold in the ground, if you buy the GDXJ, is about $490, or about 10% of the gold price. Right, if we then go to the GDX itself, I've made that same calculation, but I've done it. So if we look at the GDX, we can see that you pay about $640 for an ounce of gold in the ground, or about 13% of the price of gold. So the GDXJ is in that comparison cheaper. The GDXJ still has, as you can see here, a lot of the bigger names in the space. It still has a lot of the names that you also see in the GDX, but it also has a lot of operational risk. It also has a lot of companies that are not producing yet, that are burning through cash, and that are junior exploration companies. So if we then look at the performance of the GDX and the GDXJ, you can see that the GDX really moved up a lot. Wait, I'll get my drawings out of the way. And you can see that the GDX had a really big move in the last couple of years. It rose about 200%. Right? You can see that a sort of a pattern has evolved with the GDX, where it has been in a sort of a consolidation for a very long time. I'm not the best chartist, but I try to do my best. And you can see that it broke out, right? It consolidated for a long time. It broke out, it backtested the breakout, and then it just shot up into the air. So this is the ETF of the bigger gold mines in the space. And the junior gold mining ETF, you can see that it also had a big move recently, right? GDX moved about 220%. The GDXJ moved about 205%. So you can see that the bigger gold mines move more than the smaller ones do. And even though there is a big overlap between these ETFs, so about 78%, the GDXJ is still lagging about 20% to the GDX. So that means that this smaller part of the portfolio, these 22% of companies, are just lagging so much that it actually shows in the performance of the ETF. I would have expected that to be a lot smaller. And in a big silver and gold bull market, when a market really gets heated up, you would actually expect the junior miners to outperform the bigger miners. Right? The smaller the mine, the more operational leverage you have towards the price of gold and silver. So you would expect the smaller miners to actually outperform the GDX. That didn't happen yet, so I still think that we are close to the beginning of this bull market rather than the end, right? And you can see that the GDXJ has not yet hit its all-time high, although it is getting pretty close. And as a percentage of the price of gold, This is the chart that I look at almost every month, right? In my monthly recaps, I look at this chart and this one as well. This is the GDXJ over gold. You can see that there is still a discrepancy as well with these prices compared to the price of gold. So the junior miners are still lagging behind. Another chart that I like to look at in relation to the GDX and the GDXJ is the ratio between the GDX and the GDXJ. And with that ratio, I try to get a feel for the amount of speculation that is in the market, right? How much more valuable do people think the junior miners are compared to the major miners, right? That is this chart. And you can see that, right, focusing on the long term first, right, you can see that in the end of the last bull market, that was about 2011, so that is about this period in this chart. You can see that at the end of a bull market, the junior miners are valued a lot more than the major miners because the GDXJ was worth about 2.6 times the GDX. That means, right, that people want to have the speculative aspect of the market much more than they would like to have the bigger mining cash flow aspect of this market. And that ratio has declined ever since the end of the bull market. It has picked back up back in 2016 when the enthusiasm in this market returned. And you can see that after 2016, there has been really a big slump, and the junior miners have not been able to really catch anything, although they are looking like they have put in some form of a rounded bottom right here. But in this ratio, you can definitely also see that there is not much appetite yet for the junior miners. There is a lot of appetite for the big mines in this space. There's a lot of appetite for the safety, for the plays, for the cash flows that are being generated, but the real speculative aspects of the gold and silver mining space are still not being appreciated by the retail investors. I do think that that is coming at some point. When that is, I don't know. Up until then, I am just going to keep on buying all of these smaller junior miners because I do expect that the ratio eventually will come back to a point like this, right? And if we then would think that the GDXJ is about 130 right now and the GDX is 100, right? That means that if we go right to there, that means that the GDXJ could go to 230, the GDX could stay at 100, and this ratio would still be respected in comparison to the 2010 all-time high. And that means that because the amount of smaller stocks, right, the amount of junior stocks within the GDXJ is such a small percentage of the portfolio, that means that they really have to outperform the majors by a long shot before that ratio really gets back. And that is the exciting part about these two ETFs, and that is the exciting part about all of these smaller gold and silver miners. They really have to catch up a lot more to the majors to get into the frenzy tops that we've seen in 2011. And I'm all for that, and I'm waiting on that as well. So if we just go back to this, we can really appreciate it for what it is right now. That is just all that I really wanted to show you about the GDX and the GDXJ. I'm also thinking about doing this for the SIL and the SILJ. Those are the silver miners, right? You got 4 ETFs in this space. You got the GDX, that is the major gold mining index. Then you have the GDXJ, that is the one that we're looking at right now. That is the junior mining index. That is supposed to be an index of smaller mines, but we can see here that the mines that are in there are actually quite large, right, by ounces in the ground and by market cap. But besides that, you have the SIL, that is the silver miner index, and you have the SILJ, which is the junior silver miner index. And seeing that there is such a big overlap between the GDX and the GDXJ, I'm really interested to see if there's an overlap as well between the SIL and the SILJ. So if you would want to see that video, leave a comment under this one saying that you would like to see it, like this video and subscribe to the channel so that you will get notified when it comes out. If you would like to support this channel and to keep me going doing all of these YouTube videos and doing this kind of research, consider buying me a coffee. The link is in the description, and really any amount helps. So thank you very much. And that is really all that I wanted to say today. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.